Welcome to Fireside Gaming. I'm Billum, and today we're going on a journey full of mecha love with Gundam Battle Assault 2. If the name didn't already make it clear, this is a game all about Gundam. If you don't know what Gundam is, it's an anime series that started way back in 1979 with the original Mobile Suit Gundam. That original series, as well as its sequels and spin-offs, make up what's called the Universal Century, or UC timeline. Outside of that, there are several other timelines with their own unique settings, stories, and characters. Gundam Battle Assault 2 features 3 specific timelines. The first is good old UC, with units from the original Gundam anime, Double Zeta, Char's Counterattack, and some of the OVAs from the 80s and 90s. Next up is the After Colony timeline, which is likely the most well-known over here in the US. It features the mecha and characters from Gundam Wing, as well as one surprise guest that we'll talk about later. Finally, there's the Future Century timeline. This is the home to the characters and mecha from the over-the-top super robot series G Gundam. Gundam Battle Assault 2 came out in 2002 and it has a unique history to it. The game was actually made with a Western audience in mind. That's why it puts G Gundam and Gundam Wing up front, as they were the series running in the US at the time. In fact, the game wouldn't be released in Japan until much later, and even then, it wasn't complete. Instead, it was split into 2 games, with one focusing on Gundam Wing units and the other on the G Gundam units. That's gotta suck for Japanese fans, and it's a rare instance of the US and Europe getting the better deal. Gundam Battle Assault 2 is a fighting game that has the players taking control of various mecha from the Gundam series. There's a total of 30 units that players can make use of, with many of them being locked behind the game's various modes. The main attraction here is Street Mode. This has players taking select suits through stripped-down versions of their anime stories. There are only 5 mobile suits available in this mode at first, but players can unlock 3 more by completing the other Street Modes. Street Mode has players squaring off against 8 enemies in an arcade-style progression. Beating the various Street Modes will unlock most of the mecha in the game, but there are a few that will require some extra steps. For example, players that want to get their hands on the strongest of the units will have to take on both the time attack modes as well as survival mode. If players do well enough in these modes, they'll unlock the Big Zom and Neo Zeal mobile armors, as well as the devastating Psycho Gundam Mark III. Players can also unlock the Dark Gundam from G Gundam by playing against the AI in Versus mode 20 times. To be clear, each of these units is incredibly powerful and aren't what I would call fair to play against in normal Versus mode. Even so, I love the addition of them, as they're just dang fun to use. Taking them into the time attack or survival modes easily shows just how powerful each of them are. At this point, some Gundam fans might have noticed that there's a severe lack of love for Zeta Gundam in this game. There are suits from the series in this game, specifically the O, Zeta Gundam, and Quebly, but players have to make use of a cheat device to get to them. The same's also true for the Hama Hama from Double Zeta Gundam, which seems like a strange exclusion since other suits from that show are here. It's unclear why exactly these suits were cut from the game. They appear in previous Battle Assault series games, but not this one. Even weirder is that they are all still in the game. I really would have preferred them to just be selectable without the use of a cheating device. Though, to be fair, it was really cool to discover all these units way back in the day. I had a few friends in high school that all enjoyed playing this game together. When one of them read about the secret suits online, it wasn't long before we got our hands on a Game Shark and started playing with them. It was like finding this new secret treasure trove in a place that we had already thought was picked clean. Moving on to the combat, Gundam Battle Assault 2 offers a style that's easy to pick up for the fighting game fans. It makes use of the same basic button combos that players likely already know by heart. That includes quarter circles, half circles, and whatever it's called to do the Shoryuken, as well as more. What's most interesting to me are some of the gauges that the player has to manage in the game. This includes the Super Gauge, which allows players to use their strongest attack 3 times per match. Another intriguing one is the Boost Gauge. Players can use this to jump up to 3 times with their thrusters before it has to recharge. It's also used to dodge into the background for a quick second, as well as flying mode. When flying, players can't block, but they can freely move around the screen. They also can't be staggered either, unless the player drains one of their health bars. Gundam Battle Assault 2 gives the player 3 health bars each, with the exception of some stronger units. When one of these bars is depleted, the suit overheats and it's knocked down for a moment. Players will also have to manage ammo for each of the suits. Some will make use of more ammo per shot depending on how powerful their attacks are. Others, like the Wing Zero Custom, have ammo, but it doesn't really matter when its Buster Rifle attack is free to use and is easy to beam spam with. I'll be the first to say that all the mobile suits in this game aren't even in power, but then again, what fighting game doesn't have a tier list? One of the worst offenders in the game is the RX-78-2, which is the original Gundam. It has multiple attacks that can't be blocked, an incredibly powerful beam rifle, good coverage with a wide range of attack types, and a super move that can take down a full bar of health. Yes, you heard that right. The Gundam Hammer completely takes down 1 bar of health. It shouldn't take much for the quick math to sink in here, but the player gets 3 super moves per match, and players have 3 bars of health each. It's downright disgusting. That's not to say there aren't other broken combos in the game. Burning Gundam, for example, can combo directly into his super move, the Seikiha Tenkyoken, from his burning finger. All of these specials and super moves are truly a joy to use. There's a lot of love for the Gundam franchise here with the details in the attacks. That same care also extends to the sprites. Being a PS1 game, Gundam Battle Assault 2 features incredibly detailed sprites in combat. That's cool enough, but the addition of battle damage is so freaking awesome. Like, just look at this fight right here. The moment I hit this poor Act guy with the Gundam hammer and defeat him blows his face apart. That's so incredibly cool to see in game, and I just love it. I'm also a big fan of Mecha with battle damage anyway, even if I don't have the guts to do any kind of custom work like that to my own Gunpla kits. If I do have one complaint, it's about the lack of care for large beam attacks. They all use this really generic sprite, and it doesn't really do some attacks, like the Seikiha Tenkyoken, justice. The weakest part of Gundam Battle Assault 2 is easily the music. Even then, that's not me saying it's bad, just that some of it really does feel stock standard, though that wind music really hits just right. Another downer is the lack of spoken lines for super attacks. Only the suits in Street Mode get this honor, and even then some of them are a bit lacking. Take Hero from Gundam Wing for example. His classic "I'll kill you" line lacks the coldness it should have due to it not being said by his original voice actor. My final complaint, and I have to stress that this is getting really nitpicky, is no representation from some series. Even though they had come out at the time, there's no love for Turn A Gundam, F91, Victory Gundam, or After War Gundam X in this game. To be clear, I understand why this is the case. These series hadn't made it to the US and weren't a focus for the developers. What I don't get is some major characters missing despite others from their series being in the game. Take Ko Araki for instance. He's the protagonist of 0083 Stardust Memory, but is completely absent from the roster. That's despite Anvil Gato, the antagonist of that series, piloting 2 suits in this game. It feels like Ko got gypped hard here. Don't get me wrong, I love the GPO-2. It's my absolute favorite Gundam. But where's the GPO-1 or the GPO-3? The same holds true for 8th MS Team in War in the Pocket, which only get minor representation here with the Ball and the High-Dog. There's no Easy 8, Zaku 2 Kai, or Gundam Alex. Yet again, I do understand why these suits aren't in the game. I really do. We already have 2 versions of the Zaku 2 with the base and commander types, as well as plenty of other Gundams. I'm sure the developers wanted to represent all the series they could while also offering up unique kits at the same time, and they succeeded. So no, I don't fault them, and I'm more than happy with the mobile suits already in the game. I mean, heck, they even managed to squeeze in Hydra Gundam from the Gundam Wing G-Unit spin-off manga. That's a welcome surprise and is dang impressive. Also, let me take this time to say you should check out the suits from G-Unit. They are downright amazing. To wrap this up, Gundam Battle Assault 2 is a beautiful and incredibly fun time of destruction. That's not true just for fans of the Gundam series, but also those that are looking for fun fighting games as well. It may not be the deepest or the most fair fighter out there, but players that pick it up are sure to have a good time. If you've enjoyed this video, then please consider sharing it with your friends and subscribing to my channel. You can also feel free to follow me over on Twitter at Billum256. And as always, thank you for watching, and take it easy!